Lights,
My
camera,
clap. What's
action.
going on, everybody? Patrick over here at Ghost Picks ATS coming at you with an episode of Keep It Rolling with my guy Moff Dollars. What's
What
going
up?
on,
What up?
everybody? Moff, what's going on?
What up, Pat? Yeah, big week, sort of, kind of, coming off a nice little PGA run we had. We did a little recap. I mean, other than Colin Morikawa, we were kind of throwing darts all over the place last week, right?
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, Morikawa was maybe the one off, but it was all just darts across the board. Uh, let's do it
Big
again this week,
darts.
baby.
Let's do it again. Let's do it
All
again.
right, so we are back down in the state of Texas, and we're in the Texas swing here. So bouncing around, we were in Oklahoma last week. Some of the things that, honestly, the most important thing I said last week was the weather. If you took the guys that played in the first morning wave, you had like a 75% chance that they made the cut, like a 50% chance that they made top 40. Like, it was night and day. Those guys who had that afternoon morning combination, absolute freaking nightmare. It was solely the weather won last week. But forget about last week. We're now on to this week. Charles Schwab Invitational down in Colonial Country Club. Moff, what kind of guys we looking for?
Um, they didn't get our little preview snippet that we normally do, but I mean, this week I think it's a lot about what driving accuracy. Off the tee is a big deal because the rough is fairly penal, and putting, right? Driving and putting. We got some tiny greens, so being in the fairway is gonna be important. Um, we were talking about Brian Harmon beforehand. Not a super accurate iron player, but super accurate off the tee. I mean, he's you automatically gain an advantage from the fairway. So we're gonna be looking for guys, that can hit it down the pipe and can roll the rock. You know,
Right down the pipe. Yep. It's pretty much that simple. So, guys that can win it. This is kind of like the Bryson DeChambeau thing, in my opinion. Like DeChambeau kind of changed golf. See these tree-lined courses and whatnot. You have people that try to, shorten their game. It's tight tree line, so you got to hit it straight. Otherwise, you're in trouble. If you just hit it long and far, you're pretty much shit out of luck. But some of these guys, like Kokrak last year, who was our winner, he took it over the trees. Uh, and that's something, it takes some balls and it's high variance, so it's boom or bust. But those kind of guys, I wouldn't necessarily mark them off, but they would not be top 20 locks. I'd lean more so to like top 5 long shots or something like that. A guy that maybe is going to, and speaking of just long shots, a guy like Justin Rose, who hasn't been hitting, his approach game hasn't been money at all. It's actually been terrible. He hasn't gained strokes on approach in freaking a year until last week. But he's somebody who he is ultimate boomer bust at this course. No way, shape, or form a lock. But uh,
oh,
if that's Moff's guys, then
oh,
which might be Brian. What's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. Moff, so what are you thinking over there?
that was my guy. We talked about him last week. You wrote him right off. And what he do? He snuck up there 13th for a little juiceums. What? I mean, Rose was like plus 310 for top 20 last week. And yeah, I mean, he hasn't been in the best form, but I think he's found it. I think maybe he's been a little injured, hadn't played a ton of golf, but he's accurate off the tee. He's got, I mean, enough distance. Darts for irons, mid, to low irons. He's throwing darts and he rolls that fucking rock. And so, unless we're going to contradict ourselves, and let's just talk about his history here. I mean, a past winner. 4 years ago, 20th last year, third the year before, 58th. I mean, if anything, keep him in your DFS because he's gonna be here on the weekend. Um, but I mean, he just finished 13th at a hell of a track in terrible conditions. So
Yeah, that's where I'm glad. This is kind of the good stuff. This is where Moff and I disagree, but we banter back and forth. But this is good stuff. So a guy like Justin Rose, we actually talked about it. Last week was all about wind, and you could have simply taken every guy from freaking Europe. Englishmen were
that's fair.
there were 5 out of 5. Tommy Fleetwood, guys that we weren't necessarily looking at, who aren't necessarily in phenomenal form. Every single one of them, all the Englishmen finished in the top 20. But Rose, something that is important. He doesn't. His approach game, his iron shots have been terrible. He hasn't gained on an iron one time this year, not one time before last week. And sure enough, last week he comes out, gains on an approach. So maybe you're catching him at and that's why I say boom or bust. Maybe you're catching him at a good number, where right now he is a little more of a long shot. But for somebody like a top 10 at plus 450, at a great plus odds, top 5 for a guy that's done it twice out of the past 5 times, like you said, Moff, that's coming out hot. That's funny that was your guy, because we did
That was
not
my
talk
guy.
about who we really like this week. But Moff said he has one in his bag, and it turns out it was Jay Rose. So look, Moff and I are on
Fuck.
the same. We're same page over here. All right, so let's keep it going. Let's guys, one thing that is very important that we both agree, it is clear as day. You got to be able to putt the ball on this course. All the winners, every single one of them, whether they're bombers, short hitters, iron guys, anything, they all putt. Kevin Na, Kevin Kisner, Jordan Spieth, Kokrak, all these guys, when they were winning straight down the line, sinking putts. So I
So Pat, just a little tidbit. Justin Rose's favorite putting surface
oh yeah. So
is
once again, to
bent
win,
grass.
Justin Rose. I think I'll take Justin Rose 60-1 to win all day long. Like, I'm not gonna take him as a lock for top 20, because if his irons are off, he's not placing top 20. If his irons
Yeah.
are on, he could win. So at 60-1, I think that's great number, great value. Uh, Damn good for a guy that has been, little up and down. But that's what you're looking for. When I'm taking guys to win, I'm not taking a plus 1,500 guy that, is on his A game that everyone's hitting. Grade A example, Jordan Spieth is 18-1 this weekend. Dominated the course. But I will not be touching Jordan Spieth this week with a 10-foot pole, with his odds the way they are. And I mean everybody and their mother. You won't find a single golf guy, handicap, or PGA, anything that isn't on Jordan Spieth this week.
Everybody's on him.
Not us. Moff,
Not
that's
us.
Moff's guy. But the reason I don't like Jordan Spieth this week is I personally think he has the yips. Golf is all about, it's between the ears, 50%. And Jordan Spieth, I watched him. He looked like me. Anyone looking like me on the course doing anything is doing something wrong. I mean, he missed the hole on a 2.5-foot putt. I told him off before. I said, I can't take a guy. That's not technique. That's not anything. That's in the head. A 2.5
Yeah.
foot putt. It didn't lip out. It didn't go over. He missed the hole.
Yeah, it's bad.
And he is traditionally one of the best putters in the game. So I think it's a little bit between the ears with Jordan Spieth, and at his odds being such a favorite that he is, I'd rather slide to a guy like JT to maybe go back to back or something like that. Nothing. I'm not crazy, but shoot, Jordan Spieth at the odds. He's somebody I'm looking to fade, if anything. Actually, I think. Sure, he's got great course history here, but he's never had issues putting. All of a sudden, he has issues putting, and I think it's a little bit questionable. I'll just leave him alone. Get on into with somebody who I think we're both going to like. One of my guys I'm leaning towards for the lock of the week is Abraham Answer.
I was just about to say it, Pat. I was looking at him and we talked. I don't know if we didn't talk about this. Who was I talking? Who are we talking? I was talking to somebody about Abraham Answer. Like, I see him every week. We forget about him. I just pulled him up in the profile. I was literally just looking at him. And I mean, dude, he's accurate off the tee, stripes for irons. Ninth last week. Like, I don't know. Like, the dude is he's just an afterthought. But I mean, like, it seems like a lot of people are on him DFS, but 14th the last 2 times out here. He fits the bill for what we like. And I mean, like I said, he's not a household name by any means. I mean, we've talked about him before, but like we never locked Abraham Answer. I'd lock his ass up. I'd do it just to say we did it, because I mean, in my mind, like, you look at, shit.
Yeah, you keep going. You started. I'll finish it off. Abraham Answer, when we're talking about this course, he's everything that I like. He's in pretty good form. He is one of the most deadly accurate off the tee. He is pretty damn accurate on short irons. This is a short course, so he's as precise as anybody with his short irons. He's better. His
Darts.
best putting surface is bent grass. So like 1, 2, 3, 4 straight down the line, and he's got pretty damn good odds. I do believe he's 130 plus 130 to finish in the top 20. That will definitely be somebody I'm leaning toward as a lock of the week. Uh, but that specific type of golfer is somebody that I think thrives in this. So anybody, I mean, I can name them straight down the line. We're looking for guys who are accurate, uh, good short irons, and solid putters, at least on bent grass. If you find those three things, I think I think we got a good idea of what we're looking for. And with that being said, Moff, going for some of the long shots. I think we usually get to the locks of the week toward the end. Abraham Answer is a little hint, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
long shots. Lucas Glover, Doug Gim is actually one that pops on my radar. Uh, Random
Oh,
one.
Dougie Fresh?
Dougie Fresh. Now that's a super long shot. I do believe he is like 175 to 1 to win. But he's got some of the best short irons in the game. He's just a solid, consistent guy. He cannot putt, though. That is the one thing. So I would never take him to win. I don't think he's got it in the bag. But, top 40 at plus 140, top 20 at long shot. I think he's like plus 375 or something for a top 20. I'm a big fan of that as well. But those kind of guys that can do it all, or maybe not even do it all, but more specifically just short irons, drive it straight.
Yep. And yeah, we talked about Lucas beforehand, but Lucas Glover, Rory Sabatini, super long shot, top 40 guys, older guys that play the course well. And they're not going to win because they can't putt, but they can get off the tee and they can score. Like I said, the putter's going to win you this week. I think you got tiny greens, you got to hit it close, and then you got to get it in. But I like those long shots. I also like the fact that, I mean, you're giving me shit for being on Kokrak, but we've seen how many players this year go back to back. From the tournaments they won year prior, it's kind of weird. You don't really see it happen all that often. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Jason Kokrak won this week. But
Yeah, I did give
I'm a
you a little
sprinkler.
bit of shit. It's kind of right out of the gate. You say, "Oh, I like the guy who won the tournament last year." It's like, "Oh, I can't even think of a more square thought." But he's actually not playing phenomenal right now, and not a lot. I have not heard a lot of people calling his name. He's actually been the one. So if I'm my years here, 3 years ago, Bryson DeChambeau was the first one to kind of try to attack this course, where he was hitting it over the trees and trying to take out some of those curvy angles. And I do believe he placed third that year. And then the next year, he missed the cut, but Kokrak took the same kind of philosophy and took it over the trees and placed third 2 years ago. Did the same thing last year. He places first. Now, his irons are not as accurate as I would like, but clearly a guy that's placed third and first over the last 2 years at this course, he's got some good familiarity. And when you're looking at it, you want guys that can hit it off the tee and can score putting the ball. That is Kokrak. Kokrak is one of the best putters in the game. Once he gets to the green, he could sink it. And these pure bent grass greens, Rollin Purdy. So he's all over it. That's not a bad one. I'm not hating it. I would take him as a top 5. If I'm looking for guys to win or more of those like long shot type ideas, Sam Burns is another one that pops into my mind. If I'm looking for somebody to win, he's somebody who can score, maybe not in the best form, but absolutely gets after it. If I'm looking for somebody to win, you got to be able to score and you got to be able to putt. Sam Burns can do both of those things, and if his driver's on, it's a dangerous week. So a couple of things to keep in mind there. But
I just think it's interesting that they've got a guy like Jason Kokrak who's played so well the last 2 years, plus 200 for the top 20, and then somebody like Gary Woodland's plus 180. Um, Justin
it is.
Rose is
And
ahead of him.
looking at
Davis
Kokrak's
Riley's never even played here before. He's hot like sauce though. That's why they're scared of Davis Riley. I was looking at him. He's hot as fuck, but he's not not the best putter.
inconsistent as well. So,
Yeah, he's just in form.
but
But
looking at a guy
Jesus.
like Kokrak, he's made his last 5 cuts placing 35, 14, 35, 17, 60. So, like, not the best form, but definitely not the
No.
worst form. I mean, the 60th in the PGA, that's tough. That's understandable, whatever. But 35, 14, 35, 17, that's not too shabby. And really hasn't been breaking the bank on Vegas, so maybe they're underestimating him there a little bit, especially for a guy. But look, there you go. His last 5 times, he's got miscut 55, miscut 32, but then he finished with a third and a first. So, Kokrak, he's someone who can attack the course, do it in a different way. And one thing that I wanted to say, I started out kind of long hitters don't necessarily gain an advantage here. But super bombers, if you can, anybody who can hit it far and accurate, this is a short course. So the guys that I said earlier, Doug Gim, Kevin Na, any of these schmucks that are just short hitters, hit it straight, do this, do that. These long hitters can hit a 3-iron the same length as some of these mofos hit their driver. So
Right.
if a guy like Gary Woodland, who Moff and I were talking about, he was the only one we talked about pre. He finished 9th and 14th here. He's not accurate with the driver, but he can take a 3-iron off the tee and put it in the fairway and be in a perfect position. So kind of.
I think Gary's really rounded out, dude. I think Gary's really.
Talking about old dudes that can play. Stewie Sink is 100% one of my long shots for the week, sitting at 125 to 1 odds to win. He's, I think, 12 to 1 to finish top 10. He's like 3.5 or 375 plus 375 to finish top 20. He's got everything going. He finished 23rd at the Players or at the PGA, which was a tough track. 9th in the tournament before that. Not many people talking about him. He hasn't played this course in a couple years, but does have a couple top 20s in here. So give me Stewie Sink as a long shot for sure as well. These are some of these guys. If you're looking for DFS, you round out your lineup with these guys. You're not quite. You can't just stack up your lineup with all the guys at the top. And speaking of one of those guys, Mafia, this is your dude, 100%. Tringali.
I saw him. Yeah, I was looking at him.
I flirted with my lock of the week, especially if you can get him at a top 40 at plus money. Cameron Tringali is without a doubt one of my favorites. He's also plus, 350 or something. Some of these guys, I'm off a little bit in the eyes. I got them pulled up on the side, but not right here. I know for a fact he is like 370 to finish top 20, and it might be a little bit greedy there, considering you get him like 120 to finish top 40, which I do love. But he does everything that I'm looking for and can putt the lights out. So give me Tringali for sure.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't even bring him up is just because of his driving. He's just like it's the only thing he's losing strokes off the tee.
Yeah, off the tee, but that's because he's not really long, and that's one of those courses where this is a steal. So give me him all day long, Tringali. Wrap out your lineup with some of those guys. Any other long shots you're looking at over there, Moff?
Nah.
I think the only one, the last one I would go with as far as long shots, wrapping up your lineup, some cheap guys. If we're looking for DFS and we're looking to win, you got to go for some crazy names. In a week where I'd never seen someone over like 35% owned in DFS, and I do believe Jordan Spieth will be 35% owned this week. It's nuts. It's a little more shallow field at only 150 guys or 120 players, but it's some of the best in the world. So some of these guys down bottom, if you can just get them to make the cut, you're ahead of the game. And a guy that I'm looking at, Brian Stewart, is the ultimate just old man golf you'll ever see. It is just dink it down the fairway, dink it another one. But he's got great short irons. And when he plays well, it's boom or bust. He misses a cut, or he's got like 3 top 20s this year, 2 top 10. But many miscuts along the way. Any kind of long course he's in, it's a nightmare for him. 7
he hits a lot
times
of fairways.
playing out here, or 8 times playing out here, 8 made cuts. Now he's not somebody who I think is gonna finish top 20 necessarily, but a top 40 at a long shot, I think those are some pretty good odds there, and someone to wrap out a DFS lineup if you're looking for just a prayer or something to load up your lineup. You've seen guys. Zach Johnson won this tournament twice. He hits the ball about both of us.
Yeah, nowhere.
Both of us
Nowhere.
about hit Zach Johnson, and neither one of us is cranking it anywhere. So, you can get around this course by putting and doing the short stuff. So that's those kind of guys that wrap out your lineup. And Moff, let's lock of the week. Let's lock it up here. What we got?
Lock it up. Shit.
Answer. Locking it in?
Abraham, yeah. We can, what, we give him one this week? Stay away from Brian Harmon? I do like Brian Harmon.
Yeah, I like him, but not necessarily a lock. I think he's a very safe, made cut, top 20. He just doesn't have the birdie ability necessarily.
Right.
I definitely think he's a made cut DFS kind of maybe like.
What about Daniel Berger?
I think he might be hurt. Nope.
What about Sung JM?
I think he might be hurt. Those are two guys. Both of them fit to a T, but I think both of them might be hurt. Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. I think if we're going for it, Ma, if we were a home of podcast, the dude's playing at insane levels. But
he's definitely feeling it.
We can't just throw out Homa every week.
We can.
Yeah, every week he finishes top 20. Again last week, 13th. We were on him before most, and we'll keep riding Homa until the wheels fall off. But I do like Homa again, plus money. But the one guy I wanted to say, Moff, that I would think Webb Simpson. Any thoughts on the guy?
I was thinking about him. Webb's been on my mind for like 2 months. And I just know, I guess he's getting older. I know what he can do. He's a freak of nature, but.
All right, we'll go no to Webb Simpson. He's a boomer bust. Top 5 sprinkle, yeah. Webb Simpson. He finally showed a little life on Saturday, gained a ton of strokes in the field. Moff, give me this one, though. Kevin Na, come on. Let me run it back on Na.
I do like Kevin Na.
You're the Mr. Course History. He's won it here. He's placed 4th here. His approach is top 5. He's not even an approach player, but he's been on fire lately, and he's a lights-out putter. And he's got great plus money.
Yeah, he does.
Abe Answer and Kevin Na?
I don't know anybody else who's got a card like that. I like it.
Couldn't agree more. Lock it in.
I like
lock it up.
Lock it in. Lock it up. Maybe sprinkle Scotty Scheffler for top 10 at plus money. Just the Texas dude who's pissed off that he missed the fucking PGA.
Hey, I like that. A little sprinkle on the Scotty Scheffler top 10 as well.
Plus 150 for top 10.
Damn right.
Everybody's plus odds for top 10 this week.
He's
That's
not the
nice.
best on bent, but the dude does everything else well. So.
Yeah. That works for me.
Man, that was efficient, Moff. That was a good sode there.
Say what?
That was efficient.
Yeah, it's good.
Lock it up, baby. In and out on our way. Everybody, peace and blessings. Thank you for tuning in. Brian, Gooch. Gooch is off the tee. He's the most average guy off the tee. You got to be a little more accurate, but I'd maybe.
Who else they asked about? Who they asked about?
Huh?
They know we love Gooch.
Yeah, I love Gooch every week, but off the tee, this is the one week you got to be accurate off the tee, and he's a little bit everything after his tee shot. Gooch is money, so.
Just make sure you have Brian Harmon in your DFS. You won't regret it. At the very least.
Yeah.
The dude, talk about guys that don't miss the cut. You give him Brian Stewart, give him Brian Harmon. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, keep it rolling. God bless. Thanks for tuning in.
Love it. Lock it in. Abe Answer and our guy.
Kevin Na.
Kevin Na.
Mr.
Peace
Na,
and
Na,
blessings.
Na.
We're out of here.